Today we are talking to the author of Snow Angel, Sand Angel, Lois-Ann Yamanaka. Lois-Ann was born and raised in Hawaii. She is the author of many acclaimed novels and books. She is also a poet and educator, and she is here to give us some ideas for activities that can be done at home or in the classroom. Hi Lois-Ann, thank you for joining us today. My first question to you is, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up?
I grew up on the big island of Hawaii, and we lived in a small town called Pahala, and we lived in Keohokona, but most of the time was spent in Hilo.
I love the big island, and I love that Ka'u Pahala area. It's such a special place.
It's so beautiful. We spent a lot of time, a lot of different places, camping with my family, my dad, my mom, and my three sisters. So we were lucky because my father was a taxidermist and he was able to gain access to a lot of private land where we could enjoy pristine, untouched beaches and mountains and rainforests as children.
You know, I think having that environment and having your family together just really strengthens the culture and the experience of growing up here in Hawaii like no place else in the world. So what inspired you to write the story, Snow Angels, Sand Angels?
I always wanted to see snow.
Me too.
Snow, and snow falling from the sky. And so my dad used to take us with his four-wheel drive when Mauna Kea, the summit of Mauna Kea was accessible. And many times we drove up there and we couldn't run around because he said of the elevation, and making a snowman was even a worse experience because the rock, by the time you get up there, the snow turns to rock.
Yes.
So our snowmen turned into blockheads, and it was nothing like I saw on the Christmas cards that people sent to us or Frosty the Snowman. So it wasn't quite the experience that I had dreamed of. So for a long time, I wanted to see snow.
But you know, nothing beats the beauty of Mauna Kea. And to be able to be up there at that elevation. I know I've been up there and breathing was a problem. You have to really slow down or you really go out of breath. And the snow is really ice. It's not as fluffy as you think it might be. But certainly the beauty of the sky and the land is unmatched to me of any place with beautiful snow. But I live in Hawaii, so I have a pretty biased point of view in that.
We were also fortunate because my dad was able to show us the adze quarry where Native Hawaiians went to get those sharp rocks to make into different kinds of tools, from the very large to the very small. And we were also able to see Lake Waiau. And that for me was a very memorable experience because the Alpine Lake, it's one of the highest alpine lakes in the world. And as a child, we visited those places and they were very sacred places.
I get chicken skin just talking about that. I know the color of the water is quite special there. Can you share that?
It's very different. It's like there's like a rim of, it looks like rock salt if I compare it to anything, but it's around the upper rim of the lake. They come to this lake to see their reflections so that they can not verify, acknowledge their existence in even today's world. And so it's a very, very sacred place. And it's shrinking because of climate change and global warming.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite sad that we hate to lose a place like that.
Right.
What was it like for you as a child to explore all these areas? You know, you had said, you talk about in the story wanting to see what the mainland was like, but experiencing Hawaii, what was it like for you?
I guess when you're little, you don't know that you're poor.
Oh, same here,
So when we grew up, we never took a family trip to Disneyland or to Magic Mountain. I never left the islands until I was 15 when I went with the Hilo High Marching Band to Disneyland. And then again when I was in my 30s was the second time that I actually left Hawaii. So what my father and mother did was they exposed us to places that were very, very special. And It was like a playground because he would play survivalist games with us. So we had to pop our own tents and cook our own food and entertain ourselves really with in the water or fishing in the tide pools or beach combing, walking along the beaches with him and seeing glass balls in the bagasse or making shave ice on the mountain, which wasn't very, it was very crunchy shave ice. But he took the exchange orange juice and used that as the syrup.
I remember exchange orange juice, yes.
And we wore, just like in the book, we wore his socks for gloves. We had beach towels for scarves. And we also used, the crocheted beanies was real popular because of Ally McGraw and Love Story at that time. So we all had those. We wore it to football games.
You bring back so many of my childhood memories as well, from the exchange orange juice to going camping, because our family didn't travel because we didn't have enough money to go to Disneyland just like you. So it was just enjoying what we had here in Hawaii and making something special out of it. And those are childhood memories that carry us through into our adult lives, and it becomes more precious, I think, as we look back and see what our parents had to do for us to make do and to make those special moments.
Yeah.
So my next question is, if you can tell us about some ways parents, grandparents, and teachers can use this story to teach children about Hawaii, its climate, its landscape.
I think Snow Angel, Sand Angel helps parents and grandparents to teach children about the special place we come from. There's no place else like this in the world. Of the 14 climate zones in the world, Hawaii has 10 of those climate zones, and they're accessible to us. So it's an amazing kind of place to grow up. It's like a wonderland from the land. And so my father gave us that appreciation by taking us to these places and letting us explore on our own and do what we wanted to do. It was a magical childhood, It was very, very important for me to be in those sacred places.
I think in those kinds of unstructured moments, we don't realize, but we're giving kids the opportunity to think, to be creative, to problem solve. You shared about the pop-up tents. That's easy to do. But to figure out how to make a piece of cloth stand up on its own and become a shelter, that takes a lot of what I call higher level thinking or analytical thinking. And I do agree, giving children those kinds of opportunities to just explore and see what they can do with the things around them just gives them wonderful opportunities to really enhance their creativity. And I think both you and I have had that privilege growing up with our parents, and maybe not having that money to travel or to be given as many things is really a blessing in disguise, because it just takes you to a new level of creative thinking, I think.
We never thought of it as us being poor.
Yes. I have to agree with you there. When I look back, we didn't have as much, but growing up, I never thought of myself as poor.
I never dreamed of going to Disneyland, or I never felt like I was less than because I never went. It wasn't on my radar at all. And that was because I think of the richness of the opportunities that he gave us to just do what we wanted to do, to be kids, and not be so directed and not be told what to do or how to do it, but just go.
And that has been reflected in what you do for a living, as your career, to be able to share those remarkable stories that give people a sense of place and culture. And I think without those experiences, you wouldn't be able to do that. So it gave you so much more than I think what we all imagine these experiences will give us. Other than climate and the environment, what other things can we gain from this story, Snow Angels, Sand Angels?
I want children to dream beyond their own boundaries, but also see the beauty in the place that we come from. And so I don't know what to expect when I ask a child, what place in nature do you dream of seeing one day? They will go first to Disneyland and Disney World. I want to go to Epcot Center. And then, no, someplace like even your backyard. My dad, I asked him, he'd been around the world 3 times. And I asked him, what was the most beautiful place you ever saw? And then he thought for a while, and he said, my backyard, my house. And then it gave me a whole new perspective on how that is such a beautiful place that he nurtured, and we grew up playing in that yard, and we planted those trees.
So I know with this story, you have a teacher's guide to go with it as well. Can you share that a little bit?
So what we wanted to do was we wanted to create a teacher's guide that wasn't so, oh, these are the Hawaiian words, aloha, mahalo, and not gear it toward that audience, but gear it more toward our keiki. They can name the fish that they see. They can name the plants that belong in a certain ecosystem. There's a Mauna-Kea silver sword that Ashley painted into one of the panels. That species of silver sword is still in the process of being brought back from almost extinction. Starting at a grassroots level, what the botanists did and environmentalists, they took keiki and they started trying to, their goal was outcropping. So outcropping from now 30 mother plants only exist, but they're outcropping on the southeastern slope of Mauna Kea. And these plants are growing. They're coming back to life from 30 mother plants.
That's amazing. I have not seen that. It is something I'll look forward to seeing. Lois-Ann, can you tell us how we can make a diorama? You talk about the diorama in the story, and that takes me back to my childhood days, and I loved making dioramas. Can you share a little bit more about dioramas?
A diorama is a 3D depiction of any kind of scene from a book or a place in nature or your own home. Dioramas, when I was little, we used to have to bring our own shoebox to school.
Yes.
And then the teacher would give us all the supplies, and we would create winter scenes. So in the book, Claire and her brother Timbo both pull the same season, and it's winter. Claire doesn't want to do winter because she hasn't really seen snow, but the brother kind of digs right into the snowballs and the origami snowflakes and making a lot of different kinds of Christmas card things that he's seen. Claire gets a little bit upset because she hasn't seen snow. For me, the experience of a snowman was so distant. I didn't even know why we had to make snowman cutouts and hang them from our classroom window because I hadn't ever seen a snowman. My father would take us to Hapuna Beach to make sand angels and the Sandman. So I wanted to show that in our own backyards, we can create a diorama of a special place. Special places that we find on our own island, our own kind of depiction of what's beautiful to us.
And I see you have a sandman in your diorama. Can you tell me what kind of materials can children use and families use in creating this?
So I tried to use materials that I found in my house. I found this old tennis ball that I used to use when I used to play tennis. I don't play tennis anymore. So I used a tennis ball, and then I borrowed from my friend a very old golf ball. I stole it from the bag. Oops, I borrowed it from the bag. I drilled a hole in the top all the way through the bottom so it could sit flat. Using just glue that I bought at Walmart, I rolled them around in this little
That's
bit of sand.
how you got the sand so even on that.
The hat I borrowed from an Easter bunny, and the Easter bunny was very gracious in letting me borrow it because I had to pull it off her
Yes,
fur.
it looks familiar.
But she was very, very happy to lend a hand to this project. I found this container of shells, and I used that to kind of sprinkle. I used that for the eyes because Claire uses cowrie shells and a small smooth pebble, and she also uses honeycomb coral. The limu for the hair, though, I have this, you know, like when
oh, that's great, limu, yeah.
Yeah, when you create crochet lace, and they look kind of real feathery, and so that's the limu for the hair. I had these little things from birthday cakes, so I like to save them in little baggies because I love to keep little things because I do projects like this all the time. I had a lot of fun making this.
You know, I can see families doing this together, and you don't have to go out and buy anything. It looks like you found things around your house, around your home, and you never know what grandma, grandpa, auntie, or uncle has in their drawers that you can use to create a diorama. This is great. Thank you, Lois-Ann Yamanaka, for talking to us today and sharing your story and your knowledge about Hawaii, our experiences here, and what families can do together to begin to develop and create those memories that will last a lifetime. Thank you so much. And to all of our viewers, thank you for tuning in. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Aloha.